SportsCenter update.
It was a tough night in the Nashville sports landscape as both the Titans and the Predators dropped their games on Thursday night. First up in Pittsburgh, the Titans fell 20-16 to the Steelers on Thursday Night Football. Rookie quarterback Will Levis got his second career start in the game, while Ryan Tannehill continues to recover from his ankle injury. Head coach Mike Vrabel was asked today about who will be the starting quarterback moving forward.
I'm going to tell you everything that I can tell you on Tuesday as it relates to the depth chart at quarterback, at tackle, at cornerback. I'll tell you everything I can possibly tell you based on Ryan's health, based on the health of everybody else. Not willing to discuss hypotheticals when everybody gets back and who's available and who's not available. I'll update you.
The Titans will have the weekend off before getting ready to take on the Tampa Bay Bucks in Week 10. On the ice, the Nashville Predators dropped their second game of the road trip to Seattle 4-2. Tommy Novak and Roman Josi tallied the 2 goals for the Preds on the power play. They'll continue the trip tomorrow in Edmonton versus Connor McDavid and the Oilers, with puck drop set for 2 p.m. You can hear all the action right here on your home of Smashville, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Great discussion on the big topics in sports. This is Riddle and the Reporter with Junie Riddle and Nick Keyser on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome in to Riddle and the Reporter. Junie Riddle, Nick Keyser here live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. You can also watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single Friday from 6 to 8. Right here, giving you all the latest coverage of Titans, Preds, Vols, and Vandy. Nick Keyser, happy Friday to you. To me, I don't even know what day of the week it is. I'm honestly, I feel so exhausted from the last 48 hours as Renegade plays in the background, which I got to hear live for Thursday Night Football last night at Acrisure Stadium. It's a great game between the Titans and Steelers. I don't know if you got to watch. Were you watching both Preds games and Titans games last night, or were you just kind of focused on the Preds?
I did watch both. However, my main focus did end up turning toward the Predators, but I did keep both on. But I knew that you were there, and so I'm excited to hear about the atmosphere for you. As a special time for you getting to go back to Pittsburgh and getting to cover the Titans more specifically. So getting those reps are very important, and so getting your start out doing that, you and I doing our different things, being savants with football and hockey individually, it's always fun to do that. But no, I had both on, and disappointing for both teams in the column for losing for sure. And we'll have to dissect it all, and that's what we'll do here on your Friday evening drive home.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that both teams getting a loss last night, the Preds, I thought that the Preds going on the road at this stage in the season, a little 5-game road trip, was going to be good for the team, kind of use it as a bit of a bonding experience and all that good stuff. But, it seems as if some of these teams that they've already played, I feel like the Canucks kind of have the Preds number. Maybe it's more of a matchup issue.
Well, they've been one of the best teams in the entire league so far.
That, and then the Kraken game I was kind of shocked with, because the Preds really played the Kraken well back when they were playing here at Bridgestone Arena.
Yep.
And it seemed like the Kraken came out in the second half of that game and just kind of gave it to the Preds and pulled away. I didn't get to watch much of it because, again, I was at the Titans and Steelers game last night, so I haven't really got to watch the full aspect of it. But just kind of glancing and box score watching, that's kind of what I saw.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the biggest thing that was eye-popping to me about the Titans yesterday was just how they had to go through so many different guys ultimately on the offensive line, and also too, I took away that Will Levis, I truly do think, and we'll dive more into it for sure throughout the program, but look, this is their guy, and we've been talking about this for a while. You've been wanting to let everybody know, as you should, that you mentioned this way back when, and so I mean, look, that's the best thing that you can gloat about is the success of a player that has deserved an opportunity to play for this franchise. And so I think we are truly seeing a turn in the page of the franchise. And I think that for some other people, we may see some more change in terms of personnel at some point in time. But the first domino that has fallen is Will Levis, Junie.
Yeah, and, I honestly think the reason the Titans were in the game last night was because of Will Levis.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you look at all facets of that game, what are the Titans gung-ho about? They're gung-ho about stopping the run. And in their last 4 outings, they have not done that. Ever since that game here at Nissan Stadium against the Cincinnati Bengals, they have not stopped the run well at all. I mean, Indianapolis ran all over them. Baltimore ran all over them, even though they really kind of handled Atlanta until they made that second half push with Heineke.
Yep.
That was more of them kind of they were still running the ball at over 5 yards per carry in that game. In Pittsburgh, a team that on the season was averaging 3.4 yards a carry, only rushing for about 80 yards a game, doubles those numbers. They averaged 5.5 yards carry. At one point, it was up to 6 yards per carry, but that final drive the Steelers had, they had a couple runs go for negative yards.
They did.
That kind of pulled it back a little bit.
Yep, they did.
So you're talking about a team that was number 1 in run defense, not being able to do that. Secondly, this secondary without Kevin Byard, and I know that Kevin Byard wasn't playing at an ultra-elite level, but this secondary is a liability for the Tennessee Titans.
No, it really is. And I think that's where you see the shift in the tide. And that's where last week I wanted to dive into that. And that's what you saw play out in Pittsburgh on a very short week. And so, we have to dissect 2 games, you and I, because of our program scheduling. But I think it's interesting to see that the last 4 games in order, here's the rushing yards that have been allowed by the Two-Tone Blue. 193 yards, 139, 140, 166.
Oh,
isn't that crazy to think about?
I mean, when I looked at the league averages, because I was, because going into this matchup, I was like, the Steelers are the team that have struggled to defend against the run game, and that was part of my keys to the game for the Titans to get a win, was for them to kind of ground and pound with Derrick Henry and put Will Levis in a good situation to be able to set a play action, which, clearly if you watch the Atlanta game, that is his bread and butter, is to try and use the play action and his shoulder fakes in order to get guys open down the field. And so when I go to the game and I'm watching it play out and I'm seeing the Steelers' run defense be significantly better than the Titans, I was kind of taken aback by that. And not only was it the Titans' defense that was bad, but the offensive line we already knew was going to be at a disadvantage with the Steelers getting Cameron Hayward back, going up against 2 really elite edge rushers in TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. And not only were they outmatched with just the guys they were rolling out in the starting lineup, with Chris Hubbard out with a concussion and Andre Dillard having to slide back in, Nicholas Petit-Ferrer moving back over to the right side, which he played all last year. They had injuries at every single spot on the offensive line last night, except for Aaron Brewer.
I know, and that was kind of the craziest thing to me. And looking back at the snap counts last night, too, I think even Jalen Duncan, he had 4% is what I remember going back and seeing. He was in the game some last night, and Vrabel got asked about it. So
they used every single offensive lineman on the active roster.
They did, and at some point there was only one player that had been in at some point. Teron had mentioned who it was. I forgot who it may have been. But regardless, I mean, you get through an entire game and you go through everybody. That's crazy to think about. And so I think for me, I'm truly impressed that the Titans were in both games in their own ways. And more importantly, the main headline is Will Levis. I mean, just think about this. And I'd love your reaction at 615-737-1025, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Look, Will Levis, 2 games, Junie. He's 41 of 68 passing, 500 yards, 4 tutties, and 1 interception. I mean, that's a historic stat line.
And that 1 interception was a have to go for it, throw something in the end zone to see what you can get kind of play. It was the last play of the game. So, I mean, really, The thing about this matchup with the Steelers, and I knew that the way these two teams, looked against one another, that this was not going to be a game that Will Levis.
No.
If the Titans were going to win, this was not a game that Will Levis was going to go out and play like he did against the Atlanta Falcons. The Steelers' pass rush is too good, and the offensive line for the Titans is just nowhere near capable of protecting Levis long enough to do that.
Yeah.
So the thing that I was looking for most when watching Will Levis's performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers is not to turn the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
The Titans' turnover differential this season so far is one of the worst in the league, and it's -2, right? The Steelers are tied with the Cincinnati Bengals for second in the league in turnover differential with they are +7, +8 after last night. So I think that they're tied for the league lead now after that Will Levis interception to end the game. So with that being said, the Steelers' defense did not rank well yardage-wise allowed in the passing game or the run game. They are really just an opportunistic unit that has a lot of talent and that waits for you to kind of make your own mistakes in the game.
Yeah.
And so when they didn't, and Will Levis had a clean slate up until the very last play where he had to force something, right off the top, I felt like that alone gave him the check mark of, okay, he played well. But what he did on top of that for me is what gets me really excited for this guy going forward.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a really good point to make. And really quickly, to go into our text line, David says, I really watched the game last night, and the angles that the linebackers are taking were way too sharp, which is giving the running back the edge to get to the outside, so they've got to take wider angles. I couldn't agree more. I mean, look, that was what Jalen Warren did really well last night.
Oh, yeah.
So that's something that you have to think about as well, what their attack is moving forward, because Jeffrey Simmons kind of talked about that post-game. You were there and listened to him. But this is another crazy stat that maybe some people have not seen yet. The Steelers are the only team in the Super Bowl era to have a winning record, 5-3 through the first 8 games, despite being outgained in every single game.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable to me. They've been outgained by 790 yards.
It's baffling.
Unheard of.
And here's why. It's because the Steelers are such a talented team, but Kenny Pickett is only good in the fourth quarter.
Right, and he's
third in the NFL in passer rating in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Outside of that, I think he's like in the 30s when it comes to league average and passer rating. It is completely insane. I'm not saying he's the same type of player, because clearly he's a better passer than this guy that I'm about to name. But Kenny Pickett is literally playing like Tim Tebow. He's playing like Tim Tebow in the sense that he sucks for 90% of the game and just looks like he's either a backup or shouldn't even be in the NFL. And then in the last 7 minutes,
he's clutch.
In the last 7 minutes of a game this year, he has a passer rating of 133.1.
Yep.
And he just added on to that. So it might be even better with another game-winning touchdown drive that he had against the Titans. It's just baffling what the Steelers are doing right
It
now.
is crazy. And here's another stat for you. Most fourth quarter comebacks for quarterback in his first 21 games since 1991. This is from Josh Dubbo from the AP. And he says, at the top, Kenny Pickett 7, Ben Roethlisberger 6. The rest of them are 6s. You have Tebow, Luck, Josh Freeman, and Mark Bluger.
Wow.
And that's crazy to think about. The most fourth quarter comebacks for a quarterback in his first 21 games. Kenny Pickett already has 7.
It's baffling. So.
And then Deontay Johnson too last night.
I called it
over 600 and something days. Yeah, here it is. 669 days is a game-winning touchdown.
The last guy to throw him a touchdown pass was Ben Roethlisberger.
Isn't that nuts?
I'm being so serious.
Man.
And he was on my fantasy team.
So
there you go.
I called that touchdown because Chase texted me before the game. He goes, "Can you tell me a Steeler that you think is going to score?" I said, "I'm almost for certain they are going to force it to Deontay Johnson one way or another." But we want to get to your phones all show long because this program has been a big Will Levis advocate. I have been honing in and preaching about Will Levis even before the draft. I have been pro Will Levis and thinking that he could be a good, capable quarterback. So we got Sawyer on the phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Sawyer, go ahead with your thoughts about Thursday Night Football last night.
Hey, guys. First of all, I will gladly admit I was wrong about Will Levis. I am an advocate Tennessee fan, saw him suck against Tennessee last year. And I even put on Twitter, if the Titans waste a first-round pick on him, I'm done with him. Wasn't happy when they drafted him. I am big-time eating my crow right now. Dude has balled out. I'm a big Tannehill guy, but shoot, I mean, how can you not just say, all right, we're moving forward with Will Levis and we're not looking back? And then second of all, or second and third, whatever, if you're the GM, whatever, how do you not look at that offensive line, that secondary, and think, all right, that's where we've got to improve next year? I'll hang up now and listen. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate the call, Sawyer. And Sawyer, this is something that I feel like a lot of Vols fans are coming to grips with. You know, they were out on Will Levis because he played at Kentucky and he didn't look so hot his final year there. There's a lot of circumstance that comes with that. Injuries, brand new OC, 3 offensive linemen going to the NFL, losing your number 1 wide receiver, and all your top guys are true freshmen. So he's dealing with a really bad O-line, brand new system, new receivers, everything's turned over, and he gets injured in about the 5th game of the year, and he had multiple injuries that final year. So it's good that Vols fans are starting to come around and see what this guy can do, but me being from Kentucky, I'm not a Kentucky fan, but I watched a lot of Kentucky football when he was there. I knew that he had this in him, and I knew that if he went to the right place and the right system, that it could really harness his talent and really showcase it. And we're seeing it in the Titans scheme right now, which I think is a perfect fit for Will Levis.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that we'll kind of touch on what Mike Vrabel kind of had to say is just in terms of a report and then also what he thought about the game. We have a lot to get into, Junie. But, yeah, I mean, look, that is something to keep in mind is what the Titans did to get Will Levis as well. And this is a good reminder as well. They moved up to get him, and they wanted to have him on their team. And so that says a lot about what they had just in terms of faith in him. But more importantly, too, it's what the vision is with Rand Carthon now as well. So I'm excited for this, and as should Titans fans.
We're going to head to break really quickly. We got Adam in Portland on hold. I'm very much so looking forward to what Adam in Portland has to say about Will Levis. I know that he wasn't so high on Will, so we're going to get to you, Adam, as soon as we get back from the break. Also, coming up next, want to get into some comments about what Mike Vrabel has said about Will Levis and how the Titans fan base is reacting to this. I think I might have an answer as to why some of these things are going on in the press conferences and how Vrabel is treating the young rookie quarterback. We're going to get to Adam in Portland next. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game?
I'm odd, so I get the odd picks.
They have a new coaching staff.
It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Can you taste it?
That's good.
Twice Daily has your cravings, made to order.
Double the meat, please.